this is something that's been on my mind for the past 2 weeks. So 2 weeks ago, on the 27th of August, would have been my 18th wedding anniversary. Okay?
Sheesh.
And that hit me hard, okay? But it hit me hard the day before, the Saturday, okay? So 2 weeks ago, it hit me hard. And it was just listening to someone's status, and it was a song, right? And it's not a song that's related to my ex at all, at all. It's a song that I liked, but it was not a song, but it's a sentimental R&B song. And I was going to work, and I just bawled my eyes out. I'm thinking, Theola, I can't stop crying. What is wrong with you? And you start to worry, and you start to think, what is going on? Because I've been through this. I'm done. I'm stronger. I've been fine. Everybody praises you. Theola, look at you. You look amazing. You're so strong. And suddenly you feel like you're reduced to dust.
Sure.
Right? And it's like, boom.
Instant,
right?
yeah.
An instant, right? So it's you literally go from that high to that sudden low, okay? And you start to reflect, and you're thinking, I'm thinking of all the happy memories. It's not the past couple of years or 10 years or whatever. I'm thinking of the lead up to a wedding, and then I'm thinking of the wedding day, and you guys have been there. That excitement is like on that day like no other, right? I think the thing that compares next is your child's birth, right? Right?
Yeah.
That's it. And so you're going through all of this, and you're like, this is happy. And it's the day after the wedding. You remember absolutely everything of a happy memory, right? And so funny you asked that, because now I'm thinking of this the week after the wedding, and being on honeymoon, moving in for the first time, and going through all the firsts that you do, right? And the first meal together that you're cooking together, and you're sitting down together, and what you did here and what you cooked, and you remember those, and you're thinking, how do you remember all of these things?
Wow.
But that's a memory that you would sit down with your wives every year and go through, remember when we were doing this now, at this time.
And you're cementing it.
Yeah, and you're like, that was so nice. Remember that person, and I can remember what they were wearing, what they said to us. You remember everything, right, over the couple of days. And those are the happy memories. And you sit there and you think, what happened? Now you're sitting there and you're thinking, what happened? And this last 2 weeks was that up for me. Because last year, I was in my zone where I'm angry. I didn't think about the first anniversary after the divorce, right? That would have been 17 years. But you're also hitting a point where it's 18. 18 is a big number. So in a marriage, I don't think people actually look at 18, they look at 20. But when you're reflecting now, you're looking at 18 as being an adult. You're thinking to reach 18 would have been nice. Because 18, it's 20, then it's 21, then it's 25, then it's that. You're thinking, and you have this in your head now, I'll never reach 18.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
if I get married now, I have to get married now to reach 18. I'll be old by then, guys.
Right?
For me, that's, And so you lament all of that. And then that makes you think, so where did it all go wrong? And like now I sit there and I try to figure out where it all went wrong. And yes, I do know. And yes, it takes two to tango. Right? It's not just one-sided, but you also sit there and you're thinking, but the other person should have fought for you. Like I sat there, like in my post, it says, I gave the unconditional love, but my person didn't feel my unconditional love and didn't see my unconditional love. So what was I doing wrong?
Sure.
For him not to see that? What did I not see that he was going through, that I ignored it? And then that literally like cancels out the happy memories, right? And then you start to look at what went wrong and communication, not being able to talk. That's why when I told you, it is so good that you guys are here talking to each other about stuff, because you need that support group. Right? And you need a God-centered support group, right? And if you don't have that, right, and if you're not centered around Christ, then everything will go haywire. And I look back and I'm like, it wasn't about he did this and she did that. And it was about, did we do things around Christ?
Shucks.
And for me, that is what was the center of it all. Like, had we done things around Christ, we would have fought more. And I feel like I was trying and the
Sure.
other person wasn't trying. And he might be feeling something different,
Yeah,
you
sure.
know?
Sure.
But I feel like if he was doing things along the lines of what Christ would want him to do as a husband, right, we might have survived.
Sure.
Because you would have spoken about it and you would have reached out to other people to help you
Sure.
for that. So it is breakdown. It's various breakdowns. But for me, it was breakdown in communication and breakdown in communication as a couple with Jesus.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's a not a hashtag, but like an important note, which is something we constantly repeat. Just
Yeah.
the fundamental stuff and how you see the world, which in our case would be our faith. If there's already misalignment there, it's gonna be seen throughout the whole thing, and that might be a thing that makes marriage tough, because the very essence of how you see the world, that you're not meeting each other at that point. So that's something we always, I think, go back to.
Yeah. It's important to stand together, firmly grounded in Christ. It is really important. You both need to be on the same page when it comes to that. And if the one is falling, you say, how can I help you?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Or you pray for them. Even when they don't want that help, you pray for them. And I failed. I failed in that because we take on the world and the world takes on us. And when I say the world takes on us, it consumes us. So you forget because you start to think in a sinful way, like, I can't be bothered about this person. They don't care about me. Why should I even pray for them?
Sure.
And do you know how many times I sit back and I look at that, and I did in the past, I'm like, maybe I'm not praying for my husband enough. Maybe I'm not praying at all for him, for my marriage, because I'm so angry. And because all I'm thinking is it's an expectation I have that he should just love me like Christ loved the church. But what does it mean to love your wife like Christ loved the church? Right?
Sure.
Christ loves unconditionally. He loves with everything. He's given us all the love he can give us. That's how we're supposed to love our spouses. With all the love, you already have my love. I made that commitment to you. I don't need to prove that love. And we as wives have that expectation. No, you need to show me how you love me. Right? I want the flowers. But when Christ loves you, he's given us all the flowers and we take it for granted, but yet it's there. When you realize, you're like, but God, you love me. You made the stars.
Sure.
The paintings in the sky is there. That is you. You show me every day how you love me. And a husband is supposed to do that every day. It should not be something he thinks about.
Sure.
If he comes home and he sees the kitchen is in a mess and his wife is in a mess, he's like, okay, let me sort that out. Without saying, can I help you sort that out?
Yeah, sure.
Can I clean up the kitchen for you? No, just go do it.
Sure. Yeah.
If it's raining for a week, does God say, shall I let the sun shine for you?
Dr.
he do
James,
that?
some of us have husbands. We're going to ask.
So,
My expectations, so this is
Can
me,
I help?
right? I have high expectations yet. Moving on, I don't want to have expectations. And for me, having an expectation of somebody, for me, it was the wrong thing to have.
Sure. What do you mean?
I try moving forward now with every relationship is not having an expectation. If I do something for you, I don't expect something in return.
Hundreds.
Right?
Yeah,
and that's the expectation. I'm not going to expect you to love me in the way I want you to love me.
Yeah, sure.
Because if God has placed you in my life, you are going to love me the way God wants you to love me.
1,000.
That's how I see it
1,000.
these days. I see it very differently. For me, life is different, right? That's just my personality. And through this divorce, through this last couple of years, especially in this last year, which comes back to that post, I am healing and I am finding who I was when I was an 18-year-old that just moved to Holland.
Sure.
That was on her own, living with an aunt and uncle who she's never lived with before. And I drew closer to God. And God showed me who I am, who Theola is. Not whose daughter you are and whose granddaughter you are. And this and that, or being the physio that studied. I am Theola. I am a child of Christ, and this is who I am.
Sure.
Right? So I am learning to do that. And for me, I can't have an expectation of somebody if I don't know who I am.
Sure.
Right? But even when I do know
great.
who I am, I can't expect you to just think like me.
Sure.
Don't leave, stay around, tell more people about this. Subscribe again if you haven't subscribed. Hit the notification bell if you haven't. And we are going to have an amazing ride starting off next week. There's going to be a lot that's coming out of this channel, man. So we really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate your support, your feedback, encouragement, and all that you are doing, man. So shout outs to you guys. Shout outs from 2.5. Thank you so much. My name is Black. We'll see you next week. Tell people, if you haven't told them, this is who we are. Celebrate becoming better husbands, all right? Peace.